All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining United Spinal Association Greater Philadelphia chapter for our November and I believe final webinar for 2025. Tonight, we are very lucky to have with us Annie Streit, who is the Grassroots Advocacy Manager for United Spinal Association since September of 2020. In this position, Annie helps to manage the more than 2,600 registered advocates across the US. She helps run the 6 United Spinal Association working groups and collaborates with the working group members to create resources for the disability community. She also co hosts the virtual monthly Advocacy Live events and is the host of the monthly Meet an Advocate live stream. Along with her work at United Spinal, Annie writes children's books and speaks to various groups about her experiences after the onset of her spinal cord injury in May of 2005. She has a passion for disability advocacy, working with children, and sharing her journey of navigating through life as a wheelchair user to help others raise awareness and create change. We are very excited to welcome Annie Streit with us this evening.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to talk with all of you tonight about advocacy because since I've started at United Spinal Association, it's been my life. I've been very busy with it. So thank you very much for the intro. It gave a great background. I have been a power wheelchair user for over 20 years with a C5 level spinal cord injury. And I work remotely from Northern Indiana. The rest of my team, they live over near the Washington, D.C. area. So I'm going to dive right into it. I'm just going to do just like an intro to advocacy in general, and then I'm going to talk about the advocacy program and everything that's offered at United Spinal. So let me share my screen. Okay. All right. Let me get the slideshow here. Hopefully you guys can see this. All right. So we'll start off. Why is advocacy important? So what is advocacy? Advocacy, it's acts of public support or recommendations of a particular cause or policy. So through advocacy, communities like ours are really able to raise awareness, break down barriers, and help further the causes that we care about most. Effective advocacy really shapes the public debate on social issues and ensures that communities have a voice in the policies that really impact our lives. And I've kind of listed here as a grassroots advocate um, the power it gives you. And like it says here, you can be heard by decision makers, educate policymakers, defend and safeguard your rights, share your personal story and experiences, which is an extremely important part of advocacy, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Show support for or against legislation, build influential relationships, advise and be considered in life affecting decisions, and be part of a positive change. So a lot of times when I do these presentations, my colleague and boss, Steve Lieberman, the Senior Director of Advocacy and Policy, is with me. So some of these slides are what he normally talks about. So I'm going to put on my Steve hat and kind of cover his slides for him because he could not be here tonight. So effective advocates, they are pesky without being rude. We always say be the squeaky wheel. And the two words that really describe my advocacy is transparency and persistence. So you have to be patient and you have to be persistent. In person and now a lot of virtual meetings with staffers are essential. You want to get in front of them to share your stories, your personal stories, and have them see you and how these decisions directly affect you. Understand it's both up to you to convince the staffer and then up to the staffer to convince their boss. So a lot of times when we meet with um, or set up meetings with our members of Congress, a lot of times it is their staff that meet with us. There have been times where I have been able to meet with my state representative and my state senator. But you have to put the work in because you have to get that staffer to understand what you are pursuing. And then you have to get them to understand to the point where they pass that along to their boss. Following up with the staffer after the meeting is extremely important, whether it's to provide information that you said you would provide, to say thank you. And it goes very far. I always said, my mom always told me how important thank you notes are. So it comes true with advocacy too. You always want to say thank you and thank them for their time. Um, if possible, demonstrate strength by getting constituents to email and call. So a constituent is I am a constituent for the representative in my district. So the more people we have sign up as advocates in each district throughout the United States are that means the more people that are contacting that specific senator or representative or whoever, what member of Congress you want to talk to. So that's why it's been so important to us to build up our advocacy network. Know your deadlines, extremely important. You do not want to miss deadlines. You want to know when things are taking place, when meetings are taking place. So you got to be very organized and know when to pull back. Don't burn your bridges. You are going to have meetings with members of Congress that you don't agree with. There's going to be differing opinions, but you have to remember, um, even if they don't agree to what you are asking, you do not want to burn your bridges. You want to keep in contact and want to be able to have them, on your good side for future meetings and future issues. There are three different methods of advocacy. And quickly, there's direct action, which is the top left picture. That's where you see people laying in front of buildings or across streets, protesting. The other is legal advocacy. It's also known as advocacy through the courts, and it uses the judicial system to advance social changes. Um, it can secure change, large and small, but it can also take a long time. Now, the type of advocacy that at United Spinal is legislative advocacy. And that is engaging with your legislators on either the state or federal level in an attempt to influence laws and policies. So, the thing with legislative advocacy is yes, it can be grueling, it can take a long time, but it's going to be lasting change because you're changing laws and you're changing policy. So comprehensive legislative advocacy. What's all involved with that is, well, first off, this is a picture from one of our Roll on Capitol Hill events, which I will talk about in a little bit for those of you who aren't familiar with it. So comprehensive legislative advocacy, emails and phone calls from as many constituents as possible. The more people that our members of Congress hear from, the bigger impact it will make. Schedule small group meetings with lawmakers and staff. And I'll talk about that a little bit more when I talk about our Roll on Capitol Hill and our virtual advocacy day. Follow-up emails, which I mentioned before, extremely important. More emails and phone calls from as many constituents as possible. So you don't want to just be emailing the constituent yourself. You want to be able to reach out to other advocates, to other members of your chapter, and have them also reach out. Because these emails and phone calls really amplify the effects of a meeting. You can imagine if a member of Congress gets one email on a topic compared to receiving 100 emails on a topic. That's what makes the difference. And this strategy relies on getting as many people in the community as possible comfortable with sending emails to their elected officials. All right. The importance of showing up. So in this photo, the gentleman on the right is now my boss, Steve Lieberman. But before he worked at United Spinal, he actually worked on the Hill as a staffer, I believe, for 10 years. So he has got incredible insight because he has been on that side of the table. And now he's on the other side. And actually, the gentleman in the wheelchair and the other gentleman are from United Spinal. And this was during, I believe, a Roll on Capitol Hill event quite a few years ago. So, congressional offices are fast-paced environments. That is very true, especially when I went to Roll on Capitol Hill the first time. People are on a mission. You can tell when they're walking through the hallways. They have places to be and things to get done. Congressional staff will only pay attention to groups who engage their office directly. So that's why we contact them. We send emails, we send action alerts, we set up meetings and phone calls. Um, Congressional offices place a lot of importance on hearing from constituents. You're probably going to hear me say that many times throughout this presentation because of how important that is. If congressional offices only hear from United Spinal once a year, they'll see us as a box to check off and not think about us the rest of the year. So we make it a point to stay engaged throughout the year to demonstrate commitment and demonstrate that we're not going away. So effective personal storytelling. I like to talk about this because if you're not familiar with advocacy or meeting your members of Congress, it can feel intimidating because, first off, you don't know what to expect. I felt that way, before I really got involved with United Spinal. And I have a quote from Steve on a storytelling that really explains how important it is. And he said, stories are the most valuable currency on Capitol Hill. Members of Congress and their staff are able to use them in many different ways. They can use them in a speech to highlight an issue, or they can use them while asking questions of witnesses at congressional hearing. They can use them to plan events back home where they may invite that person to participate. Stories make an issue feel more real and personal in an environment that is awash in data points and funding figures. This is why it is essential for our community to share our stories with our elected officials and their staff in order to provide the disability perspective that is too often lacking in the halls of power. I think that explains it perfectly. When we go into our meetings in the congressional offices, yes, we talk about the points and some numbers and some statistics, but what really makes a difference and makes everything relatable to that staffer or that member of Congress sitting across from the table is your personal stories and your struggles and your wins. And many times, there's been many times where I've heard advocates say they share their story and the staffer or member of Congress is like, oh, I've had a relative go through something similar. So it's a very good way to connect, and nobody else knows your story better than you. So I think going into a meeting knowing that makes it a little less intimidating. So applying these lessons for United Spinal. So as I mentioned, United Spinal needs a critical mass of consistent, engaged advocates in every congressional district around the country. And in a few slides here, I will show you the map. United Spinal needs constituent ambassadors who can provide the disability perspective for elected officials if they have questions. So, say we get a call from one of the elected officials in a district out in Colorado. Well, what we can do is contact our registered advocates in that district, and that member of Congress can then be connected and explain. Then our advocates can explain or help or do whatever is needed or asked of that member of Congress. And I think it's really important. to remember that when you go to talk to these members of Congress is that they're here to serve us. So sharing your stories and your worries, and how certain issues can affect you negatively or positively is your right. And it is their job to listen to their constituents. By applying consistent pressure and by cultivating relationships with congressional offices, we gain more allies on Capitol Hill and better outcomes. So that's pretty self-explanatory. The more relationships you make, and you have to keep those relationships going, and that really does help when you in the future are going to approach certain members of Congress on issues. Oh, wait 1 second here. There we go. All right. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the Grassroots Advocacy Network at United Spinal Association. So if you look at the map on the left, that is when Steve started up the Grassroots Advocacy Network. We started at 0 registered advocates. Now, this map on the right, like you can see here, October 2025, we are now actually at over 2,700 registered advocates, and the different shades of orange just kind of show the numbers. And where we would like the whole map to be that bright orange. That's our goal, to continue building. So signing up as a registered advocate gives you access to our grassroots advocacy network, which includes monthly advocacy live virtual meetings, featuring dozens of advocates from across the country, working groups on issues of importance to our community, and the opportunity to participate in Roll on Capitol Hill and Virtual Advocacy Day. And I'll go into all these things as we go through. So you can learn a little bit more about them. So we are seeking as many advocates as possible across the country to ensure that all of our elected officials hear our community's concerns loud and clear. We wanted to provide you with the opportunity to join our continually expanding advocacy network that includes registered advocates across all 50 states. And if you see the map on the right, that one little gray area in California is the last congressional district that we do not have a registered advocate. So we are trying very hard. And once we get someone signed up in that district, we will have all 435 congressional districts with registered advocates. So as you can see, the goal was to turn the map orange, which we have done. And our new goal is to reach 3,000 registered advocates by June of 2026. So Steve set that goal, and I am very adamant about reaching my goals. So we are working very hard to continually expand and reach out and get more people to sign up as registered advocates. So if you see that your district is already orange, please still sign up. We want as many people as possible in these districts. So don't feel like if you see yours as bright orange that we have enough. We never have enough. We'll always want people to be signing up as registered advocates. And we're focused on 2 primary goals, which is recruiting committed advocates all across the country who will commit to sending United Spinal's action alerts to their members of Congress. So pretty much you're not signing your life away. You're not signing up where it's going to take up all of your time. You'll receive simple action alerts that you can put your information in, click, and it'll go out to your members of Congress. It's simple things like that. And having these advocates serve as ambassadors for the disability community with their lawmakers on Capitol Hill. It's really important because there may be instances where we may reach out to constituents in certain districts, asking them to share their personal story with a member of Congress because there's a certain issue that we're trying to get passed in that area. So again, you're not signing your life away. And I have put the website on the top of this slide is for the advocacy program, and it contains pretty much everything I'll be talking about. And then the link on the bottom is the registration form to become a registered advocate. It's very simple to fill out, probably will take you no longer than 2 minutes. Um, Let me move on here. So I'll kind of get into the programming now and what's offered at United Spinal. So Steve and I co-host Advocacy Live Zoom events the third Tuesday of every month with alternating times at 1 and 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And advocates from all over the country come together to talk about what they are doing, ask questions, and share ideas. And it's just a great way to connect. And it is fun hearing about what everyone is up to. So it also provides an opportunity to stay updated on what the issues are that the advocates are currently focused on. And we go into these advocacy lives with no agenda. It's open forum. And we usually have now between 60 and 70 advocates that join a month. So we set it up that way because we want the advocates to come in and talk about issues and policies that are currently affecting them, or if they have questions, or if you just want to join and sit back and listen, if you're new to advocacy and want to see what it's all about. I highly recommend these advocacy live events. And actually, the next advocacy live is December 16th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and then January 20th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And we kind of go back and forth on the times, just so we can accommodate our West Coasters who want to join. And the links here, I apologize, the important part. Those links are where you register for the events. And once you register, automatically registers you for all the future advocacy lives. So you don't have to continually go in every month and register.
Annie, we had a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Um, does that mean you don't accept advocates outside the US?
We've talked about this before because, you know, a lot of the resources and everything we provide are for the United States. We don't have a lot of resources for other countries. People that, if there's somebody out of the United States that wants to join our Advocacy Live and listen, they are more than welcome to join. That's no problem whatsoever. But yeah, it is something that we've talked about, especially with our resource center. So yes, everyone is welcome. And I think it would be great to hear from people out of the US on issues that are affecting them also. Hopefully that answered the question okay. All right. So next is this is the when I came on as the grassroots advocacy manager, one of my things or one of something that they asked me to do is increase the engagement on social media in regards to our advocates. So I started what was called the Advocacy Network Meet and Advocacy live stream. And so since I've started, once a month I bring in an advocate. That I've had advocates from all over the US, and I've probably done maybe 40 to 50 of these. Yeah, probably close to 40. And I like to do this because it highlights some of the work that advocates are doing that, for instance, the next live stream is going to be this Wednesday with Latavia, who I have here, who is just recently crowned 2026 Miss Wheelchair America. And I've had it's just amazing to see some of the work that advocates are doing that other people may not be aware of. And it's really helped me reach out and meet so many advocates and learn from them. So what's really cool about this live stream is it airs directly to those three locations listed on the right. So if you follow any of those social media pages at noon on Wednesday, November 26th, right at noon, this live stream will pop right up on all three of those locations. And if you're there live with us, you can ask questions, you can comment, and it's a very I just love how the people listening can become involved. And it's always a great time. It's a very laid back conversation. And Latavia is great. She's been busy doing her thing as Miss Wheelchair America, going around. So she'll be talking about her platform and all the work she's done. And that link at the bottom, the past live streams, you can click on that and you can go through all of the past live streams on that website. And there's little teasers underneath so you can kind of read what each one is about. So you maybe if you're looking for something specific. So if you guys aren't busy on this Wednesday, November 26th at noon Eastern time, I'd love for you to join our advocacy live. I'm sorry, our Meet and Advocate live stream event. All right. All right, our advocacy resources and toolkits. All of these can be found on the advocacy resources webpage, which I have listed there. So the first is the Advocacy in Action, a toolkit for the rolling revolution. Um, Brooke McCall had my position and was the one that originally started this toolkit. And then I had to go in and update it, which is one of the first major projects I did for United Spinal. And it's in PDF format, and you can download it. You can download it by sections, or you can download the entire thing. And it's full, jam-packed full of information. Talks about the background, defining advocacy and key legislation, the legislative process, creative, effective storytelling, initiative creation, planning advocacy events. It's full of information. So I highly recommend anyone who wants to plan an event just to take a look at that toolkit. The advocacy program guide. This is we created this for my advocacy coordinators who relay information back to their chapter. We created this program guide. It contains everything you need to post to your social media or provide information to your chapters and advocates through newsletters or emails about United Spinal Association's grassroots advocacy network. It includes graphics, social media posts, and language for newsletters or emails that can easily just be copy and pasted, and you may just have to change a few things in it. So we just are trying to make it easier to help promote the advocacy program and the grassroots advocacy network. The state and local advocacy menu it looks like a menu. I put this together a couple years ago with the help of Steve. Um, and this is a list of actionable advocacy initiatives that were created as a way to provide a selection of possible issues for chapters or advocates to pursue in their own state or municipalities. And our goal for the entire advocacy program actually is to empower you to choose the issues that you want to pursue for your community. The initiatives on this menu are not static, and new initiatives will be added. So if you happen to go in and check out this advocacy menu and you don't see something on there that you think should be listed, please let me know, and I'll go in and update it and upload it back to the web page because that can help advocates all over the country. Then I have the big star next to advocacy curriculum. This is a free online curriculum that I put together titled Advocacy 101 Activate Your Impact. And I put a star next to this because, first off, like I said, it's free. It takes about maybe 30 minutes. You can go at your own pace. And it is great for anyone who is interested in advocacy, but not very familiar with it. So you'll be introduced to advocacy and why it matters. This module will cover the goals of the curriculum, the background and mission of United Spinal and the Grassroots Advocacy Network, the various forms and methods of advocacy, important advocacy wins throughout the years, the reasons for getting involved with federal, state, and local politics, and then key advocacy terms and definitions. And it's very interactive. I tried to make it that way because believe me, I've done a lot of online curriculums and I know some of them can be a struggle to get through. So I tried to make this interactive, and it is very informative, and we've got some really great feedback on it. So please feel free to share this with other members or anybody who wants to get involved with advocacy. And if you have any issues or any questions around that, please just let me know. But we're really trying to get this curriculum out more and get more people to kind of go through it and take it and kind of get their toes wet with advocacy. All right, so the roll on Capitol Hill. We had this, I was able to attend my second in-person roll on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. This year it was June 22nd to the 25th. It was extremely hot. I believe it was over 100 degrees in D.C. But luckily, when we go to the different Senate buildings and the House buildings, they have underground tunnels that we were able to use. So once we got inside, we didn't have to go back outside for all of our different meetings. They just kind of led us through these underground tunnels, which I didn't even really know was a thing. I thought it was just in the movies. So it was really cool to have that experience. So this is United Spinal's annual signature policy event that really supports the key advocacy priorities for its membership and the broader disability community to ensure that legislators include wheelchair users and all people with disabilities in policy debates on Capitol Hill. So this really strengthens the voice of our community. The photo was from this past roll on Capitol Hill. I believe that is I think there's a few advocates missing because again, it was very hot and this was at the end of the day. So we had some exhausted advocates, but it is very empowering when you're rolling around the Capitol and you see all the orange rolling around through the halls of the different buildings, going into congressional meetings. It is a great event, and I am so glad I have been able to attend it 2 times in person and actually get to meet registered advocates that I've talked to many times, actually get to meet them in person and my colleagues. So the link right there will take you to the Roll on Capitol Hill page on the website. And for every Roll on Capitol Hill, we select usually about 3 topics or issues to discuss with our members of Congress. All right, so the other is our virtual advocacy day. This is like the roll on Capitol Hill, but virtual. And our last one we had was in March of 2025. And this is actually a screenshot of that's me with at the time Senator Mike Braun, who's now governor, and then his staffer. So sometimes you have half an hour to talk. Sometimes you have 5 to 10 minutes. So you have to be prepared. And like they say, your elevator speech, if you ran into somebody in the elevator, and you had just that short amount of time to talk to them, to have those points ready. So the Virtual Advocacy Day really provides opportunities for advocates across the country to meet virtually with congressional offices. And the last one we had, there was close to 90 meetings and over 100 advocates, and we had good responses from congressional staff and our members of Congress. So this event really provides a wonderful opportunity for many first-time advocates who have not taken part at United Spinal's Roll on Capitol Hill, but before to meet with the members in Congress and staff to discuss these key policy issues. It's just like it's a great way to kind of have your first time, to go in and talk. And I can promise you that once you get one under your belt and have done it, you're going to be like, that was easy. It really is. I was intimidated before I started at United Spinal. But like I said, these members of Congress are here to serve us. And that's always important to keep in the back of your mind. All right, working groups. This takes up a lot of my time, but I love our working groups. We have in total 6 working groups, and I know the writing is tiny, and all the tiny writing is all the resources that we've created, the working groups have created for the community. Um, and I will be sharing this PowerPoint with all of you, so you guys will have all these links and everything. But to actually go to these resources, I have the link there on the right, and then to join any of these working groups is another link. So I'll just talk really quickly about each one so you guys can kind of hear. And we have people that are in one working group, and we have people signed up for all working groups. So don't, they meet monthly, except for the last 2 meet quarterly. So if you're thinking, I don't know if I can go to every meeting a month, please still sign up because I send the recording and resources and notes to all working group members, even if they were able to attend or not. So you will still keep up to date even though if you were not able to attend. So accessible parking, this working group comes together to advocate for improvements in accessible parking and increase awareness and education regarding common barriers to parking encountered by the disability community. Outdoor access. This is aimed at advocates with outdoor access and recreation experience. And they come together to advocate against current constraints that really hinder the disability community in participating in outdoor activities. And while also raising awareness on the importance of inclusivity and equality for access to outdoor recreation. Emergency preparedness is just like it sounds. This working group focuses on emergency preparedness for the disability community and for any natural or man-made disaster. Um, and it's focused on preparing for not just during, but for after. And we really try to push the preparedness because it's so important for people in the disability community. And United Spinal had just been recently selected as a finalist for the Anthem Community Engagement Award for our Ready to Roll disaster and relief programs. And we won bronze in the category. So we were very excited about that. We have our care support working group that identifies policy and advocacy initiatives to improve care support services for people with diverse disabilities across the country. And then the accessible transportation and health access are quarterly. And the accessible transportation strives to achieve a clean energy future that is universally designed and accessible to people with disabilities by ensuring equitable access to the existing and emerging technologies that really drive the transportation and travel industries. And then our health access working group is our newest. And people with disabilities really experience greater health disparities compared to their non-disabled peers. And in this working group, we will advocate for improving access to healthcare services for the disability community. And if you click on the link to sign up, it gives a description of each for you to read. And again, you will have this PowerPoint. In the essence of time, I'm going to kind of skip so I have time to answer questions. So what are our expectation? United Spinal wants every advocate to participate at their own pace. That was the goal of how we set up the advocacy program. If you want to become super involved and join all the working groups, go for it. If you want to just attend an advocacy live and sit back and listen, go for it. We want you to do it at your own pace and where you feel comfortable. United Spinal provides many opportunities to get involved. As you can see from the presentation, we have many things going on throughout the whole program. And anyone can participate so long as they care about the issues facing people with or just people in the disability community. So you do not have to be a wheelchair user or have a disability to become an advocate. So if you scan this QR code or go to the link, again, that's how to get to the registration form. for the Grassroots Advocacy Network. These are just social media. We have a United Spinal Association Advocacy Network Facebook page, and then we have an Advocacy Hub Facebook group. The Facebook page is I run that, and it's where I post. It's to keep you updated on events, everything going on, highlights of advocates, and everything in regards to the advocacy program. The Facebook group is more for the advocates, just another way for them to engage with each other on topics and issues. I pop in there once in a while and see what everybody's talking about, but mainly, I created this from the request of some advocates. So I do believe there's probably around 200 advocates on that Facebook group. The American Public Health Association's organization organizational advocacy awards. So just this past November, United Spinal Association was the first winner of the American Public Health Association's Organizational Advocacy Award that was presented by the Disability Section. And the award recognizes the work that United Spinal has done to build a strong and vibrant grassroots advocacy network. So, and then it also highlights the work we've done with our advocates to fight for better healthcare, wheelchair repair reforms, and more funding for the SCI model systems, among many other issues. And pictured there is Kent Kieser, our public policy fellow, and Steve Lieberman. Lastly, thank you. There's so much information that, it's hard to squeeze it all in an hour, but hopefully this was a good kind of intro. I am always available for questions. If you want to get involved, but really don't know really how you want to get involved, I can help out. Again, this is the advocacy team, Steve, Kent, and myself. And then if you want to email the entire team, it's just advocacy@unitedspinal.org. And then I've also provided Steve's email and my email. So we are here for you to answer any questions and to help you get involved in any way you would like. So thank you. That's the presentation. Let me stop sharing my screen here. All right.
Annie, thank you
Yes.
so much.
Yes. Sorry, I was trying to squeeze it in so I could answer any questions.
No, so many great resources that you all offer. Does anyone have any questions? You can ask them in the chat, or I can unmute in the chat. You can ask to be unmuted if you'd like to have more of a verbal conversation with Annie.
And if they have questions afterwards, please feel free to email me or, anyway, just you can contact me and I can help out that way too.
And as Annie said, she's going to share those slides with me, and I will make sure that we send them out to you, but also all of our members. And like all of our webinars, we'll have this posted on the YouTube channel. And Annie, I couldn't quite zoom in on that map, but how is the Philadelphia area represented?
Pennsylvania is great. It's one of the best states. The advocacy coordinators in Pennsylvania really work well because I believe there's 3 chapters, I think, in
Sounds about
Pennsylvania.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So they really work well together. They've done a lot of roles on the Capitol in the state. So if you want to get involved with advocacy, I highly recommend it, especially in Pennsylvania, because they are on top of it there. They're one of the states that I don't have to worry about. I check in every once in a while. So yeah.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
All right. I don't see any other new questions in the chat.
All right.
All right. But Annie, thank you so much again. We really appreciate you coming out.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone for attending. And we'll be back with our webinars in January, talking about some new wheelchair technology, which don't forget, new wheelchair technology is also very closely associated with policy and advocacy. So they're nice
Yes.
relationship there. But Annie, thank you again. And we'll see everybody in 2026.
Yes. Thank you for having me and have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You also.
Thank you.